They babies.
We, the jury, find the defendant Leon Philip Jacob guilty of solicitation of capital murder as charged in the indictment signed by the foreman of the jury.
We moved to Houston, Texas on March 27, 2018, where Leon Jacob, 40, was convicted of solicitation of capital murder, Texas Penal Code Section 15.03. In 2017, Jacob and his girlfriend Valerie McDaniel, 48, conspired to kill McDaniel's ex-husband, Mac McDaniel, over a custody battle, and Jacob's ex-girlfriend, Megan Varacosa, 33, who had accused him of domestic violence and stalking. They hired a supposed hitman for $20,000, unaware he was working with Houston PD, recording Jacob's chilling words. "We're taking care of both problems." Police arrested both, but McDaniel took her life by jumping from her 7th-story window. Jacob pleaded not guilty. At trial, the undercover officer testified he wanted her to disappear, like dead. Jacob claimed, "I never asked anybody to be hurt, killed, or kidnapped." Prosecutor Samantha Connect used his words against him. "You said, snatch her, put her in a room, threaten to kill her parents, and inject her with potassium chloride, stop her heart, untraceable. My survival is more important." The jury convicted him in 1 hour. At sentencing before Judge Jim Wallace, Megan delivered a powerful statement. "You manipulated me to leave my life in Pittsburgh. You called me poor and uneducated. I always knew you'd try to hurt me. You destroyed me financially, but you can't anymore. Enjoy life in prison." Jacob was sentenced to life with parole eligibility after 30 years. Now 47, he serves at Huntsville Unit, eligible in 2048 per Houston Chronicle. The case highlights Texas's 10% rise in domestic violence-related crimes from 2015 to 2020. Vashon Flowers, a son's fury in a Michigan court. May 19th, 2019, Michigan. Vashon Flowers, 35, stands trial for a crime that chills the blood, the murder of his wife, Jamie Thomas Flowers. Jamie, 30, was shot in their home, her body found crumpled by responding officers. The motive, per prosecutors, was domestic turmoil. Vashon's history of control and violence finally boiling over. In court, Jamie's son, London Thomas, barely 18, sits in the gallery, his hands clenched, eyes burning into the man who took his mother. As Vashon enters, shackled but stoic, London snaps. He leaps from his seat, charging the defense table with a guttural yell, "You took my mom!" Deputies are ready, but it's a struggle. London, wiry but fueled by grief, pushes forward, fists raised. It takes every ounce of strength to keep him back, a bailiff later testifies. 4 officers wrestle him down, cuffing him as he screams, "What's wrong with you?" Vashon, untouched, stares ahead, his face unreadable. The judge calls a recess, clearing the courtroom to douse the fire. London's removed, still shouting, his pain echoing down the hall. The trial resumes, and the evidence is crushing. Ballistics matching Vashon's gun, prior domestic violence reports, and neighbors hearing Jamie's screams. He's sentenced to life imprisonment, no parole. For London, it's not enough. Jamie was his rock, working double shifts to keep him in school, planning his college future. Now he's an orphan in spirit, grappling with trauma no teen should face. The motive? Vashon's jealousy, prosecutors say, a need to dominate that ended in a bullet. This case isn't just about a courtroom clash, it's about a son's love, twisted into rage by a man who vowed to protect, but destroyed instead. Case 3. On April 25, 2021, for the sentencing of Detoan Robinson, 21, who pleaded guilty to 2 counts of hit-and-run causing death and 1 count of hit-and-run causing serious bodily harm, Wisconsin, Stat Section 346.67. On October 24, 2019, Robinson, driving without a valid license, veered around a car stopped at a green light to let 3 children cross. Speeding through a bike lane, he struck 6-year-old Lisa G., her 4-year-old sister Amia G., and their 10-year-old cousin. Lisa died that night, Amia days later, and their cousin survived with serious injuries. Robinson fled, leaving a duct-taped bumper that linked him to a prior fender bender, aiding his arrest. Facing 20 years, his attorney argued leniency, claiming the children crossed against a "Don't Walk" sign. Judge Janet Protasiewicz rejected this. Mr. Robinson had no right to be driving without a license. Prosecutor Joy Hammond demanded the maximum, Others ran to help, but the person responsible left the scene. Justice requires 20 years. The victim's mother delivered a gut-wrenching statement. My 5-year-old still wonders when they'll wake up. He asks why they got run over. I said, "Son, I don't know." Robinson apologized. "I'm very sorry. It was dumb to leave. I'll own up as a man. I'll be sorry every day of my life." Judge Protasiewicz, referencing crash footage, said, "Those children go flying like they're weightless. You left to save your own skin. Probation isn't appropriate." Robinson was sentenced to 20 years for the deaths, with a concurrent 3-year term for the cousin's injuries. Wisodiers. Stats section, 346.74. Now 25, he serves at Dodge Correctional Institution, eligible for parole in 2039, per Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The case underscores Wisconsin's rising hit-and-run fatalities, up 18% from 2015 to 2020. Jose Santiago, a family's vengeance for a birthday murder. In a Florida courtroom, 2023, Jose Santiago, 32, faces justice for a crime that's as cruel as it gets, stabbing his girlfriend, Jessica Roas, hours after her 25th birthday celebration. The details are heart-wrenching. Jessica, vibrant and newly 25, was found in her apartment, multiple stab wounds ending her life. Santiago, her on-again off-again boyfriend, was arrested days later, his clothes stained with her blood. Prosecutors point to a jealous rage, triggered by Jessica's plans to leave him. The courtroom is packed with her family, parents, siblings, cousins, all wearing buttons with her smiling face. As Santiago enters, the air shifts. Jessica's family, seated together, rise as one, a wave of fury crashing toward the defense table. Her father leads the charge, shouting, "You killed my baby!" Her mother and brother follow, arms outstretched, ready to tear Santiago apart. Deputies dive in, forming a barrier. "Calm down! Back off!" they yell, struggling to hold back the family's collective grief. The judge bangs the gavel, threatening to clear the court, but the family's cries drown it out. After a tense standoff, they're escorted out, sobbing and cursing. Santiago, unscathed, sits silently, his fate already sealed by evidence. The murder weapon in his car, texts threatening Jessica, and a neighbor's 911 call. The judge hands down life without parole. Jessica's family, barred from returning, learns the verdict outside, but it's hollow. Jessica was their joy, planning her dream wedding, saving for a house, now reduced to a memory. The motive? Santiago's inability to let go, a possessiveness that turned a birthday into a bloodbath. This case shows how a family's love can erupt into chaos when justice feels too slow. On August 7, 2012, during an argument while their 3 children watched TV downstairs, Julie claimed Jason charged at her, threatening to kill her. She shot him in the side with a pistol, hid his body, disposed of the gun, and took their children to her father's house 30 miles away. She turned herself in that evening. Harper claimed self-defense, alleging a decade of abuse, but investigators found no evidence to support this. Days before the shooting, she filed for divorce and withdrew $25,000 from their bank account, raising suspicions of premeditation. After a swift trial, the jury convicted her of second-degree murder. At sentencing before Judge Blaine Bowman, Jason's family delivered heart-wrenching victim impact statements. The prosecutor read their 12-year-old son's letter. Julie Harper caused pain and misery. She murdered with no sense of consequences, leaving us parentless. She's trying to weasel out of punishment. Their 10-year-old daughter's statement was even more devastating. "I blame Julie Harper for my father's death. She was selfish, not caring about anyone but herself. You are no longer Mom. You are Julie. I'll never call you Mom again. You made us orphans." Harper, unmoved, insisted, "My husband was a different man behind closed doors. I'm still recovering from what he did to me. Facing 40 years to life is inconceivable when he terrorized me." Judge Bowman countered, "You feel 40 years is unfair, but your husband got a death sentence. This was no accident, and you're a danger to society." Harper was sentenced to 40 years to life, with an additional year for using a firearm, California. Penal Code Section 12,022.5, now 51. She serves at the California Institution for Women. eligible for parole in 2034, per the San Diego Union Tribune. The Harper children live with Jason's parents, their words echoing the irreversible loss.
They babies. They babies. They didn't do no harm.
We head to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Case 4. Deacene Brown. A father's desperate lunge. December 2020, Ohio. Deacene Brown, 28, stands trial for a double homicide that defies comprehension. Stabbing his girlfriend, Intia Lattimore, and drowning her 3-year-old son, Nilo, in the Ohio River. The details are horrifying. Intia, 29, was found in a body bag near the Purple People Bridge, stabbed multiple times. Brown, expecting a child with her earlier that year, believed she deliberately miscarried, fueling his rage. He thought she killed their baby, so he was going to do something to her baby, prosecutors said, citing phone records showing Brown ordered a body bag on eBay the day before the murder. Nilo's body was never found, lost to the river's depths. In court, Nilo's father, a broken man, sits through testimony detailing the unthinkable. As Brown enters, shackled but defiant, the father snaps. He strides toward the defense table, fists balled, shouting, "You killed my boy!" Deputies tackle him mid-step, pinning him to the ground as he thrashes. "Chill out!" an officer yells, but the father's cries cut through. "What's wrong with you?" The courtroom freezes, spectators hold their breath, the judge calls for order. Brown is hustled out for safety, and the father, cuffed, is led away, his sobs echoing. The trial continues, and the evidence is overwhelming. Intia's blood in Brown's apartment, the eBay purchase, and a witness seeing him near the river. Brown's case is ongoing, but prosecutors seek life without parole. For Nilo's father, it's no consolation. Intia was a devoted mom, Nilo a giggling toddler who loved trains, both gone because of Brown's twisted revenge. This case isn't just about a courtroom attack, it's about a father's heart, shattered by a monster who took everything. Lee, a relative and witness to McCullough's violence, is in court for an unrelated charge, but called to testify against him. The judge expects a routine hearing, but Lee has other plans. As McCullough stands at the defense table, Lee's eyes lock on him, the man who took his niece, his family's light. Without warning, Lee charges, roaring, "You killed her!" Deputies shout, "Back up, sir!" Back up, as they swarm to intercept. Lee's fists swing wildly, inches from McCullough's face, before he's tackled to the floor. The courtroom erupts. Spectators gasp, chairs scrape, and the judge's gavel pounds like a heartbeat. Order is restored, but the air remains electric. Lee, restrained and removed, leaves behind a stunned silence. The trial presses on, and the evidence is airtight. Blood on McCullough's clothes, Taisha's DNA on the blade, and Lee's testimony painting a picture of a volatile man with a grudge. The motive? A family dispute turned deadly, possibly over money or betrayal, though court records are murky. McCullough's murder charge is reduced to manslaughter in a plea deal, landing him 6 years in prison. Lee, for his outburst, gets 11 months and 29 days for contempt and his unrelated charge. But for Taisha's family, no sentence heals the wound. She was the glue, planning reunions, always smiling, now gone forever. Lee's attack wasn't just rage, it was a cry for a justice the system couldn't fully deliver. This case begs the question, when words fail, and the killer's right there, how do you hold back? Case 2.